Hello, welcome back to the channel. I have a fun video for you today. I know I say that every week, but I mean it this time, really, I swear. Jared and I are playing Boros Taxes versus Blue-Red Prowess. We are jamming some of the new Final Fantasy cards. Last week we played some brews. This week we're playing some more established decks that just have had some Final Fantasy cards kind of slipped into them. And this is honestly how cards are usually included into the Canadian Highlander format. It's pretty rare that something gets printed that just creates a new archetype. Not a lot of Thassa's Oracles or things of that ilk getting printed every day. Yeah, so these are some tier 1 to kind of tier 2 decks, I would say. Boros is definitely something that's pretty highly rated these days. Prowess is a deck that you don't see played as much, although it is very potent and powerful and certainly has the capacity to win tournaments, I think. I'm piloting Boros, and I decided to try the deck just because I've seen it doing really well on a lot of online tournaments and also in paper as well. And for a long time, Boros has had the issue of not doing the good things that white or red provide. So like historically, mono red and mono white have actually kind of been pillars of the Canadian Highlander format. And it often didn't make sense to mix their game plans. And I think finally there's been enough cards printed that you can, and it is effective. And I wanted to try the deck out to kind of get a sense of how that all works, because I haven't played with a bunch of these new cards, to be honest. I played more of the white cards than I have the red cards. But yeah, so it's a sweet deck. I'm excited to try it out, get a sense of how it plays. And obviously Jared has a long-standing relationship with Prowess. It's one of his favorite decks, so no surprise that he wanted to jam that one, because you know, Vivi or Orniteer is a pretty exciting Prowess card, and that's definitely the shell that I think most people thought of when they saw that card. So yeah, pretty interesting games, open comms the whole time, so you'll get to hear our thoughts as we're playing. And without further ado, I'm going to kick you over to the deck techs and then the game. So we really hope you enjoyed, and thanks so much for watching. Hello, welcome to my deck tech for Boros Taxes. So this is a interesting one that I'm playing this week against Jared. We decided to play some decks that are established meta decks, but that got some nice potential upgrades in Final Fantasy. So we knew the matchup ahead of time. Jared is playing Blue-Red Prowess with Vivi Orniteer, the new hexproof well, +1/+1 or hexproof protection spell, and also Astrologist's Planisphere. Pretty exciting. And then I am playing Boros Taxes with Lightning, Army of One. Very exciting. I've got Joshua Phoenix's Dominant. Pretty interesting as well. This one is, I think, the most questionable of the new ones that I'm trying, but it does a bit of a Seasoned Pyromancer impression while costing red-white, which is pretty important, and then also having a more meaningful body, which I think is interesting too. So trying that one out. And then lastly, I'm trying out Cloud, Midgar, Mercenary. This deck is already playing a bunch of equipment, playing Stoneforge Mystic, and so I decided to give Cloud a shot in this deck. This seems like a good shell to try it out in. We've got the Shadow Spear, the Skull Clamp, the Pre-War Formalware, which is pretty interesting as well. So yeah, the obvious synergy is the Clamp is just like pretty busted with Cloud. You get to draw 4 cards, pretty exciting, but the other two seem reasonable as well. In terms of this deck's general game plan, if you've never seen Boros Taxes before, it is your classic Taxes archetype, where it is playing a swath of hate bears. You know, like you can see Mind Sensor, Peacekeeper, Archon of Emuria, Boromir is a nice one, prevents free spells, our Tarkir Dragonstorm. I think this is probably the best card from the set. Maybe there's others, but this is certainly one of the more high impact ones. Clarion Conqueror is a great one. Containment Priest. I won't list every single hate bear, but there's a bunch. That suffice it to say. And then backing it up, sometimes you see this deck played with black, sometimes you see this deck played mono white. In this case, we've got red cards. Red offers a couple more pretty high impact hate bears. Magus of the Moon, Blood Moon, not a hate bear, but a hate piece, and Screaming Nemesis are 3 of the pretty exciting things that you get for being red. And then you also get access to some pretty interesting splashy effects, like Gut is a super powerful effect, especially when you've got like just random chaff lying around, which this deck sometimes will. You get to play Fury for the fair matchups. Ragavan, obviously super premium 1-drop. Winota is a hot one. You see this one sometimes in the tokens deck, and it's appearing here as well. I We'll be honest, this is my first time playing Boros Taxes. I really wanted to get a sense of what the deck was like, and it's been doing really well in some online tournaments recently. So I wanted to take it out for a spin myself, see what all the hubbub was about. And Winota is a sweet one. I've played this one in other decks, but I'm curious to see how it's going to be here. So hopefully I draw that one. And then tying the room together, you've got a fast mana suite of Soul Ring and Mana Crypt, followed by Chrome Mox. The original list that I took and kind of made small adaptations to fit in the Final Fantasy cards was also playing Simian Spirit Guide and Gemstone Caverns as other fast mana sources. Those were a little too aggressive for my taste. I like my fast mana to be a little bit more consistent. So I'm happy to play Chrome Mox in this deck. Lotus Petal is also like, it's a little on the edge for me, but I decided to try it out. And then the other points we've got, so that's 8 points in fast mana. And then the other two 1-pointers are White Plume Adventurer, which is down here, and then Ancient Tomb, last piece of fast mana. So, I actually still have the Gemstone Cowards in this Magic Online deck. All right, whoops. Let's do this, and let's add a mountain, because that's the list I played online. So we'll go +1 mountain. Yeah, so this is the list that I ended up playing ultimately. So yeah, sweet list. Pretty interesting. I'm excited to try it out. Obviously, Boros has been an archetype that's been playable in Highlander for a long time to varying degrees. It has historically struggled a little bit with running into drawing the wrong half of your deck syndrome, and that is still something that I think can happen here. If you draw all the hate bears against the mid-range decks, I think you're going to struggle because the hate bears tend to be understated because of the effects that they provide. And if you draw all of your kind of like aggressive red cards into the combo matchups, then you're probably just still getting comboed because your interaction suite is pretty low. But I think that the density of both those things has gotten high enough now, and the quality of them has gotten high enough now that maybe you can get around that. This deck is also playing one of the more potent interactions, I think, in the format, which is Guide Pride, Guide of Souls Pride, Ocelot Pride. It's really in on this interaction. It's got Ranger Captain of Eos as well as just straight up Captain of Eos as well. So it's, yeah, Ranger of Eos, sorry. So it's really trying to go in on enabling that kind of interaction too. Obviously a powerful one, especially in the mid-range matchups. So yeah, against Blue-Red Prowess, I think that this matchup is going to be a lot about how many removal spells I can draw. The Prowess deck is largely centered around building up 1 or 2 creatures, and the white removal does line up well there. The hate pieces are also like kind of okay. The Thalia effects especially are not bad, so we'll see how it goes. But yeah, this is Boros Taxes, and I hope you enjoy the video.
All right, welcome back to another deck tech for Blue-Red Prowess with a couple new Final Fantasy cards. The deck is pretty similar to what you're probably used to by this point. Cheap creatures that work really well. They either get bigger or have prowess or kind of transform into a really efficient threat. And notably, most of these creatures are pretty good at winning the game by themselves, either through incremental advantage or they snowball in some pretty significant way. Some new additions. I'm trying out Veyran, Voice of Duality, alongside Vivi Ornitier, the new Final Fantasy card. It's obviously really powerful. There's a lot of hype around it in Commander, and I'm kind of excited to see what it can do in our format as well. The other new card is Astrologian's Planisphere. This is another really powerful growing threat and can also make your other threats into growing threats later if necessary, which is really powerful. Equip cost of 2 is pretty reasonable, so if you want to move it onto like a flyer or something to grow a big flyer to make sure you have an evasive threat that wins you the game, that's a really powerful option to have. We also have Quarry Steelcutter and Storm Chaser's Talent as additional threats as well. Lots of instants and sorceries, with the key being that the vast majority of them have the option to draw you a card to make sure you can continuously cast instant and sorcery spells basically every turn. Yeah. Other than that, pretty typical blue red prowess list. I hope you enjoy the games. We won the die roll, but the sand's pretty awkward. I know he's on Boros. So, like, I don't know. Maybe it's fine. We get to get a survey land with one of these two. Expressive Iteration can find us a creature. Magic Damper can probably protect our first creature. Mulliganing is for the week.
Okay. So this is an interesting hand. I like having a piece of fast mana, even if it's a worse piece of fast mana than usual. Clarion Conqueror is a banger against a lot of decks. Turn 2 WPA is often pretty good. The only awkward thing is if I'm playing turn 2 White Plume, it means I'm not playing Ragavan on turn 1 probably, or like dashing Ragavan. Oh no, I could go turn 1 dash Ragavan if he doesn't play a creature, and then use the treasure on the next turn to play WPA. All right. I'm in. Hello.
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 Excellent.
Yep.
Well, you just leaving mana up means I'm gonna play slightly differently, I think.
Perfect. That's what I wanted you to think.
Yeah, I mean, I figure you're probably just getting Surveil Land, but if I
am.
Yeah. If I had just jammed what I was gonna jam and was wrong, it would have been pretty awkward.
I see. Yeah.
Okay. Surveil Land into Ponder. Kind of interesting that you didn't do this on turn 1. Sort of insinuates that maybe you drew the Ponder. You kept a card on top with the Surveil. Makes sense. I will Mountain Cycle this Oliphant.
Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. That was the other reason why I didn't do what I was initially planning to do, because I drew something to do with my mana, so it was no longer required. All right, Lotus Petal. And I will attempt to resolve this White Plume Adventurer.
Yeah, punished. Yep.
Excellent.
Happens.
Love
Quite
that.
Good.
Love that for me.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I blundered with my art choices for lands in this deck. Thought I was getting Mountain. Instead got Plains that has a mountain in the background.
That's why I use all my own basics.
Yeah, I mean, whatever. I could have played a little bit more calmly. Uh-huh. The old White Plume Adventurer untapping your creatures is like a line of text I always forget about.
Yeah.
EI. Okay.
Incredibly awkward.
It's worth noting too that we knew the matchup going into this, so
I mentioned
we were playing.
We were on Boros.
We are playing with some information.
Kill this thing, but yeah, not ideal.
Yeah.
I don't want to say I've seen however many cards and none of them have been a creature or thing that makes a creature, but
you have.
Yeah.
Let's dash this Ragavan.
Awkward.
I feel like your deck has a nice number of hits that I would happily play.
I don't think it's that high actually, but land.
Uh,
Weird. I wanted that one.
I mean, it's a creature.
Yeah, it
Is it
is.
is it any good in my deck, or should I just spend the mana playing the thing I was originally gonna play? Yeah, I think I'm just gonna use the treasure to play this White Orchid Phantom. I just don't think Kitsa is like all that relevant. Like I just am not casting enough spells to really be Kitsaing, I don't think.
I don't know. I could have had the looting going. Never know.
Yeah, maybe it was worth it. I don't know. I I'm willing to believe it was wrong, but all right. Do some trapping. Uh, I will play this Thalia, Guardian of Thraben. Although with you flooding, the efficacy of Thalia definitely down. Let's try and dash this Ragavan. Yep, I figured removal spell was likely. So I had Ragavan and Lotus Petal in my opening hand, and I was like, oh, okay, I can go turn 1, dash Ragavan, like get a trigger, maybe hit something, and then use the treasure token plus land on turn 2 to play WPA. But then you just like have untapped land, and I don't even have a red source in my hand. So if you have removal spell for Ragavan and I spew my spew my Lotus Petal, it's like pretty bad. We taking not taking 3. All right.
No.
All right. Archives. Draw a card. Okay, I'll play this land. I guess I'll start by going to combat.
Yep.
Chip for 4. And then I'm going to play Esper Sentinel. I will play this Clarion Conqueror.
I think I'm just turbo dead, but
Yeah, no creature is really rough. Like,
saw close to 20 cards in the first 3 or 4 turns, and
yeah,
freaking off that many sucks. But
yeah,
yeah, just never saw a creature.
and you drew Quarry later as well. Like that wasn't in your earlier hand.
Yeah, obviously played it the turn I drew it. Yeah,
Brutal.
even Kitsa there.
Oh yeah, Kitsa would have been fine.
But, yeah,
Get to start doing things.
Yep.
All right, deafening for mulligans.
So we're definitely keeping this hand. The sequencing is the tricky part. I think we might want the Surveil off the DRC, so it's possible we don't get too greedy and we go like Volcanic Island, play DRC, then play Moxterby, get a Surveil. I think the other pretty reasonable choice is to just play Sprite Dragon. Even Kitsa turn 1 is pretty defensible, but I think it's worse than the other 2 options.
Okay, so game 1 obviously went a little lopsided. Jared just never saw a creature. Also, because he's playing blue-red prowess, he's a lot lower on interaction than you might be otherwise, meaning like he wasn't able to just like interact his way through to getting a creature. He really has to be proactive. Jer is keeping his 7. This is a pretty easy mulligan to 6. This is a pretty easy keep. I think I'm just gonna put this Witch Enchanter on the bottom, and we can go turn 1 Archon, turn 2 Ranger of Eos, or Ranger Captain, I guess. We'll figure it out. Hello.
Because we have Force of Negation, maybe I just want to go for Sprite Dragon. Yeah, I'm kind of sold.
Hello.
Hello.
I hope your hand has more creatures this time.
It does.
Ooh. All right. All right. Both doing powerful things.
Attack.
Ooh, Sprite Dragon.
Charge.
I like it. Get in for one.
Yeah.
I too have a piece of fast mana.
Oh, do you now?
Ooh. All right. Fair enough. What'd you pitch? Oculus. Sounds good.
Charge more. I am the beatdowns.
Yeah, Everheart Challenger, pretty good here. Not legendary, importantly.
Yeah. Mostly just hoping you were pretty reliant on the old mana creeped.
Yeah, I mean, obviously my hand would be a lot better if I still had a mana crypt. But
yeah. I believe it.
I feel like that's something that people started doing more, like the more we realized how broken the fast mana was. Like people in like 2014, 15, 16 like wouldn't spend force of will or cards of that ilk on something like a mox or a mana crypt, because like the format was so much more like value based that you just like figured you were better off countering the thing that they were going to they were going to play with it, and then like trying to play from that position. And like that dichotomy is just like so different and wrong now.
Yeah, I mean, what people didn't, I mean, part of it was you just didn't play against them as much.
Mm-hmm.
So like,
I'm gonna play this Archon of Emeria.
Okay, that happens.
Okay, well, if this survives to your turn, I'm like somewhat happy.
Does not.
Ooh, okay. All the pitch cards.
Yeah.
I'm surprised
Slightly
you
awkward, but
didn't wait to do it on your turn.
Well, yeah, right. I should have. In my head, then I couldn't cast a spell, but
yeah,
I can. Gonna make interesting play.
Nice. Yeah, the old gut shot my own creature. Yeah, it's possible my attack was a little bit too aggressive, but I was kind of figuring that I needed the Archon to stay alive to be in shape to win the game anyway. Does this slip through space just kill me? It's 5, 9.
Quite,
No, you need 1 extra damage. It's pretty
We're
close.
getting close. Yeah, we have outs, as they say.
It does turn off 2 of my lands as well. All right, well. Got there. That's pretty much as much you could draw it up as Brewed Prowess is hoping, right? Like Mox on turn 1, put Growing Threat in play your 1 counter spell, and then develop another threat, pitch cast another spell.
That is, in fact, how we drew it up. I mean, it just goes to show, like, it's really powerful. I get to counter your turn 1 mana crypt, ignore your turn 2 threat, kill your turn 3 threat, and then you're dead.
Yeah, I had Flage in my hand that I thought that I should have probably played instead. Maybe that was better. But I kind of thought that if you had a counter spell, and I get my Flage countered, I just lose the game on the spot. Whereas if I play Archon, it probably baits out a counter spell, and then I can Flage next turn. But I don't think I accounted for the fact that the Sprite Dragon would potentially just grow out of being Flageable, so I was probably just supposed to jam it.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's fine. All right. Game 3.
Another hand we're just never in the business of mulliganing. in a million years. We get to turn 2 flip our Tameo, because we get to draw for turn, attack, break the clue, and cast Consider.
This hand is interesting. So swords is quite premium in this matchup because of the how reliant Jer is on keeping a creature in play. Like it's really, really core to the game plan of the deck. They basically can't operate without a creature in play. So I could just go like Scalding Tarn, hold up swords. That kind of contains any super explosive turns. And Voice of Victory is also kind of nice because if it resolves, I can do all my removal spelling on my own turn, which is pretty interesting. I think this is a keep, and if in a perfect world, I'm not casting swords on turn 1, and I'm just fetching for a Surveil Land and kind of like cleaning up my hand a little bit and playing Voice of Victory on turn 2, and then looking to play from there. But yeah, let's see how it goes. Hello.
Hello.
It is I on the play, finally. It's funny.
Don't make me go through all our videos and count how many times I've been on the draw against
the first 2 games.
Both of you bums.
No, you were on the play both games. What are you talking about? You won the die roll and you lost. All right, another Mox. Not very sporting of you.
I mean, you tried to crypt me. It's not my fault you don't play Force of Negation.
I mean, it's like sort of your fault. Okay. Well, I was hoping not to have to use this fetch land this way, but I will. That one is just annoying enough. It's worth trying to kill. Excellent, excellent. Huh. Interesting. What is the line? I think I will just play this Esper Sentinel. And this Shadow Spear.
Yeah, that's not the one we want.
Sorry, I was definitely deafened. When Trent and I were playing the other day, he had white cards in his green red blitz deck, and like part of the reason why he was playing fourth was like he just wanted to play the 3 or 4 extra fetches that it meant you got to play by having extra land types. It was That's like funny. It was just worth it to him to have that option, which I thought was like pretty interesting. And like it is crazy the difference it feels like sometimes now. Yep. No card. Oh. Boo. I think I'm not going to make the same mistake again and hold on to this for too long. I'm just going to fire off this Flage.
Flage, my idiot.
Yeah, just...
Lots of people don't do that. You just have to play differently versus this deck than most other decks. And like DRC is one of the creatures that you can, but especially the growing threats like Sprite Dragon. Like,
yeah, you just have to try the kill.
This deck has the capability to just kill you from literally nowhere. So
yeah. Mental note. Oh, Magic Damper, new Final Fantasy card.
Yeah, first Final Fantasy card on the board. I was
going to say, we've been unfortunately low on Final Fantasy cards in this set so far. Trent and I had the good luck of having like almost every card we included show up and also kind of do its thing. The only one that really didn't do anything was Vivi. Vivi like hit the table and then like immediately got trampled over by an 18 power Tifa.
I mean, that's on theme.
Yeah, it was fine. Like I don't think either of us were especially upset with that outcome from a content standpoint, but
yeah.
Okay, let's fire off this Voice of Victory. And I think I'm actually just going to equip the Shadow Spear to it.
Pretty reasonable.
Yeah, it seems fine. I could crack the Sunbaked Canyon now, but I think I can do that next turn as well. And it's like a little awkward to break the Sunbaked Canyon when I have a Flage that's like not like right there in terms of being able to be escaped, but it's not that far away either.
Yeah.
We found a creature.
We did.
Technically, yes.
I will take it.
Yeah, it counts. Okay. Okay, not shocking. I was gonna say if you were shocking, I was gonna be a bit scared.
Yeah, no. Almost everything we would have shocked for, we would have played before Storm Chaser's talent, so.
Yeah, makes sense.
I was just waffling if I was gonna play it at all.
Fair enough. Let's get in there.
Shadow Spear card is pretty good in this matchup.
It's not bad.
Is this deck playing Urza's Saga?
No. I think
Okay,
that card is like pretty medium in fair decks unless you're like really.
I mean, you know me, I'm champion of that card's heinously overplayed.
I don't even think that it's overplayed per se. I just think that like there's been this tendency to evaluate it as though it always makes a bunch of large constructs that like you just get them for free, and like there just is a tangible cost to getting the constructs. Like they cost mana, they cost you a land drop, and if you're not really working hard to put artifacts in your deck, they're not necessarily that big is the other part of it as well. So I don't know. All right.
Well, yeah, people say it's like this like pillar against blue decks, and like you taking off your turn 2 and 3 or 3 and 4 to make 2/3/3s is not what's killing the blue decks, let me tell you.
And the reality is like a 2-for-1 like that just isn't what Highlander is about anymore. Like if Urza Saga had been printed even without like the chapter 3 like go fetch an artifact text, if it was just a construct maker and it had been printed in like 2007 or 17, sorry, it would have been actually, was it printed in, I actually don't know when it was printed, but like if that card came out when Highlander was still like dominated by like
after
white,
2017 blue, for sure.
Yeah,
it was Modern
like
Horizons 2.
Yeah, like if it came out when that card was when the format was dominated by like green black and white black control. I know Galadriel's dismissal. I was hating on this. Well, I wasn't hating on it, but I wasn't sure if this card was good, and I'm in. I'm all of a sudden
there for sure.
It was great. I think I probably should put it in Blue White Heroic. Seems better than
it seems better
than the
in
other protection
deck.
spells. Well, the one awkward thing is like that deck often wants to be able to cast its protection spell while it's attacking, which is like the one awkward thing with Slip Out the Back as well, is like you can't.
That is why I don't have that one in my deck.
Yeah. What am I leaving in the graveyard?
Yeah, I think we're in trouble.
Yeah, the Flage coming back here is
just needed to find a creature turn or two earlier.
Yeah. That's definitely the plight of the blue-red prowess deck, is like I think you have these like really powerful high roll games, but the consistency is not always there, and the games where your deck kind of doesn't come together, it feels so anemic.
If you don't have almost exactly swords though, this game is much different. I could have flipped my Tamiyo on turn 2, and I can beat any bolt. So like if you have like
you can beat bolt on turn 1.
Yeah, I had mutagenic growth in my hand the entire game. So if you just have swords instead of bolt, then you try to
if I have a damage based removal spell,
then if you don't take your turn 2 to also kill it, which requires you to have a second removal spell, which isn't super likely, also means you're not developing. You're probably like, whatever, I'll play my 2-drop and then do it, and I just get to flip Tamiyo, and then it's just a
really hard game.
And Tamiyo is pretty good against Voice of Victory, let me tell you. All right, well.
Yep. We churning. Oh my god. You do get to see a lot of cards with this deck, that's for sure.
Yep.
The tough thing about Flage too is like it comes back and then is all of a sudden like it just the clock is just so absurd.
Not dead yet.
We're still playing. It is funny that like I have to have this dialogue in my head about whether or not I'm allowed to attack with voice, but think I am going to. You can't cast spells on my thing, so it can't
20,
go that badly.
27, one card in hand.
Yeah,
it would need to be.
It would need to be a healer of all healers.
The stone perfects. Yeah. It is possible because I have a quadrillion mana, but
yeah. Yeah, you do have a lot of mana. I mean, it is funny, like, you could, like, level 3 this Storm Chaser's talent and, like...
Wait, what? Did I not block one of the 1/1s? That was stupid. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's lock in a little bit. Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah, I think I need to draw, like, Treasure Cruise into the perfects, basically, but...
I have this Containment Priest.
Doesn't do a ton.
Yeah.
If you
I'm
also
trying to
have
decide...
removal spell, though, then I'm...
What's that, sorry?
Said if you also have removal spell, then I'm probably in trouble, but...
I do also have removal spell, but it's kind of interesting because... Yeah, I guess this is lethal.
I mean, yeah. I'm just
sorry.
It's okay.
I was thinking I might sack the Sunbaked Canyon, but obviously I should just play the removal spell. I was forgetting that voice attack for 4.
Yeah.
Across multiple bodies.
Pretty good one. Yeah.
Well, that was an interesting set of games in the sense that, like, it was sort of like... Well, game 1, I think your deck didn't really do its thing, and then game 2, it really, really did its thing, and then game 3, like... kind of saw some of the
slightly below. Yeah, it was like game 1 was very unlucky, but that's sort of like my hand was very good, except it didn't have a single creature, but it had a bunch of card selection, and I just bricked on the card selection.
Yep.
Which can happen. That's a cost, but I have like close to 25 threats in the deck, so like you see 20 cards and don't see any of them. That's
it is just
pretty
unlucky.
unfortunate.
Yeah.
Game 2 was ideal, and
game 3 was
well, we found the creatures
close, right?
just too late.
Well,
and like if you don't have that protection spell for your voice, then I get way more turns. And
yeah. No, the way my hand lined up against yours was like pretty good. Like had the white removal spell on turn 1, and then had the protection spell for voice as well.
Yeah, but that game was a lot closer than it seemed, because if you didn't kill my Tamiyo turn 1, I was flipping Tamiyo turn 2.
Mm-hmm.
And then the game's probably just over in the other direction.
Maybe, yeah.
I don't know. Based on your hand, you just didn't have any way to pressure it, right? So I'm just almost definitely getting to alt it.
I get to flage it, right? And I'm attacking it. I get to deal damage to it because the voice has a Shadow Spear on it.
Yeah, so it's going +1 a turn. So you still never get to flage it dead. But yeah, I can rebuy Flame Slash with the Tamiyo as well. But
yeah,
it would have been a very different game. But you have the swords.
Definitely possible.
Yeah,
I kept my hand for a reason. But yeah, no, it's interesting. I have been unsure how to feel about this red-white deck. Like, I've obviously seen it popping up in like a bunch of results, and so I wanted to try it because I don't like passing judgment super like definitively without at least playing the deck a couple of times. And I do feel like this deck has a bunch of powerful cards, but I do feel like you have the potential to just get wrong halved some amount of the time. And
as I know you've mentioned, I just don't think it lines up super well into fair decks right now, especially green fair decks.
Yeah.
Like if you're playing against decks with like the card Llanowar Elves in them, I feel so unfavored with either mono white or white red.
even red black too, I think, has like similar problems. Like at least red black has better tools for like cleaning up some of the fast mana starts. But I sort of feel like there's this arms race going on where like the mana dork mid range decks aren't as good against the blue mid range decks. Uh, but they are much better against the two color non blue mid range decks that are trying to kind of combat against
Mhm.
the blue ones. Like there's like this kind of like triangle of power of the mid range decks, and then also like at least the white based two color mid range decks are like obviously like targeting combo. Like that's the thing they're trying to beat anyway. So like they're less concerned about having a really excellent mid range matchup because like really the goal is to beat the crap out of the combo decks, and like
And
that
to
I
some
definitely
extent,
saw.
yeah, you just have you're playing the good cards still. Like you're playing gut, you're playing bombardiers, you're playing those types of cards that can just win games kind of no matter what they are,
Yeah,
especially in conjunction with fast mana.
my issue with Boros as an archetype, and it kind of has always been this way, is that you are right that those things are true, but like you can't guarantee that you draw that half of the deck in the matchups where you want to be doing that. And so I do find that like sometimes I think you can experience some like pretty negative variance with the red white deck. That being said,
I
I
mean,
think that
that can
it's
happen with almost any deck, right? Like,
well, but this deck has very little selection. Like your only selection is like at the beginning of the game, your mulligan decision, and then you've got like a couple of tutors for like you've got Ranger Revios and like Ranger Captain. Like you've got a couple of things like that. But you're basically beholden to the top of your deck in a way that you aren't if you're playing like say like blue black, for example, right? Where you can kind of select away the cards that are maybe worse in certain matchups. Um
and even some other red black decks
yeah, or playing
have
like
a lot of
looting effects.
rummaging and looting.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas like this deck, it's like you're gonna draw 12 cards or 13 cards, and you better hope those 13 cards line up well against what your opponent is doing. And if they do, you're probably gonna win because you've got very powerful targeted cards. But if they don't, I think you're potentially gonna struggle. Now, like the overall power level of cards has just gotten high enough that I think that you're no longer in a position where you're playing like really embarrassing ones. Like this deck is still playing Leonin Arbiter, which like
Mm.
I think is
I mean, I could see it
fine,
as a
but
meta call, but like
yeah,
if I was going into an unknown field, I don't think I'd be sleeving that one up.
yeah. But
But like if your
yeah.
local scene has a bunch of combo, I think it's a great option.
Whew. Well, thank you for the games; they were sweet.
Yeah.
Let us know if you like this style of content where we're kind of these are both decks that I think are very much so established. Like you know, JR has a lot of reps on blue red, and it's definitely I think one of the decks that you like. But to be honest, this white red deck is not a deck that I've played a lot of, nor is it a deck that I think I would typically pilot. But we'd love to show you kind of more of a tour of the format as well, and showcase some decks that maybe aren't necessarily quite in our wheelhouse as well, just to make sure that they get their fair share of shine in the sun. So let us know what kind of decks you'd like to see from the format, especially if they're doing well in local tournaments, things like that. I'm more than happy to take a look at lists. And yeah, please like and subscribe. It really helps us out a lot. We've seen a lot of support. It's been great, and we really hope that you'll stick with us. Jared, do you have anything you wanted to add?
Nope.
All
Just
right,
thanks for watching.
perfect. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.